Watch this.
No, it's not unusual for graduating seniors to try to sneak something into their ceremony. Silly string, beach ball, maybe a noisemaker. But one Treasure Valley High School grad shied away from the celebratory signatures and instead made a statement, a now viral one. Another video that got a lot of attention has now gotten one drag performer a major win in a defamation lawsuit. Not sure being a far-right blogger pays enough to pay this bill. Canyon County is getting their first ever Pride Festival, a celebration that hasn't exactly been celebrated by the online community, and it appears not by city leaders either. Well, nearly 2 years ago, a North Idaho Pride event made national news for two distinct reasons. One, 31 members of a white supremacist group called Patriot Front, with the goal of disrupting Pride in the park, were pulled from a U-Haul van and arrested for conspiracy to riot. Later that same day, on June 11, 2022, there was a drag performance on the stage. However, the only reason this made news was because of the accusation one of the performers fully exposed themselves to the crowd, which included children. A blurred cell phone video supposedly censoring the exposure made the rounds online. Well, that video came from a North Idaho blogger who used it to encourage the public to call for Coeur d'Alene police to arrest Eric Posey, the drag performer, and to call for the Idaho Attorney General to charge that person with indecent exposure. But that blurred video blurred the actual truth. The unedited video showed there was no exposure, indecent or otherwise. Posey then filed a defamation lawsuit asking for $10,000 in damages. A North Idaho jury just awarded that and then some. Here's Joe Paris.
A North Idaho jury has awarded more than $1 million to a drag performer who was defamed by a North Idaho blogger.
Hi, my name's Summer.
Summer Bushnell runs the news blog The Bushnell Report, an outlet described as news from a liberty and freedom point of view. She posted in June of 2022 about the North Idaho Pride Festival, one that made national news for the arrest of 31 members of the white supremacist group Patriot Front. They were charged with conspiracy to riot at the event.
All the focus is on the U-Haul guys. I think people are missing part of the picture. I am not for the sexual exploitation of minors. Why did no one arrest the man in a dress who flashed his genitalia to minors and people in the crowd? No one said anything about it? That's not okay. And there's video. I'm going to put up blurred video to prove it.
The Coeur d'Alene prosecuting attorney's office investigated and found that, quote, the unedited video recordings did not depict any exposure of genitalia. The allegations of indecent exposure or other crimes cannot be supported by the evidence, therefore prosecution is declined. Continued postings of the blurred video, screenshots of the moment in question, coupled with continued statements from Bushnell, led to a defamation suit filed by the performer, Eric Posey.
The blurred image that suggested that there had been exposure was put on a flyer and put up throughout downtown Coeur d'Alene. It has reappeared on social media all over the state and all over the country, and it's been used in a hateful disinformation campaign here in Idaho. Hateful disinformation campaign against LGBTQIA events and individuals generally.
Posey's attorney, Wendy Olson, spoke with us as the suit was filed in 2022, detailing the serious nature of the accusations beyond just her client. She writes to me following the jury decision, quote, Mr. Posey's life was forever changed when Summer Bushnell falsely accused him of a crime. The jury's unanimous verdict and its award of $1.176 million in damages sends the clear message that truth matters, the facts matter, and that you can't dehumanize and damage someone to suit your own purposes. Mr. Posey was simply doing something he enjoyed in a beautiful place at an event that provided space for all people to share joy in who they are. Miss Bushnell was not there, and ultimately her effort to hurt Mr. Posey was rejected by the Kootenai County community.
If you don't like what I have to say, don't comment. I'm just trying to get my words out from someone that was actually there and is trying to do things based on fact.
Those words from June 12, 2022, aged like milk. This video remains on the Bushnell Report Facebook page to this day. As for the performer, Eric Posey shared his thoughts moving forward, writing in part, "It is everyone's First Amendment right to freedom of speech. However, for every action there is an equal or opposite reaction. I am so grateful that the jury was attentive and that they rejected the lies that put me in a dark place for nearly 2 years." Goes on to say, There's a lot of work to be done, and I apologize that our state was connected to such vile lies. I would hope that everyone would lead a life of love, kindness, and respect. Light will always supersede darkness. And I reached out to Bushnell's legal team for a statement or comments on the jury decision, and if there are any appeal questions. Brian, I did not hear back immediately. If for any reason we do hear back, though, we can circle back.
Yeah, the freedom of speech also comes with consequences thing is a big deal. $1.1 million. That's impressive. Asking for $10,000, getting awarded 1.1.
Yeah, and I had read in the Associated Press that members of the jury were also asking, can we ask the defendant to apologize? And the judge in the case says, well, no, that's not what this is about. This is a legal proceeding. But the jury, I think, really heard this story. And it shows, though, that when you put something online, it's not this vacuum that just disappears. People are paying attention.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Joe. All right. It's from Pride in the Park to the fact that Pride Month is just 4 days away. And next month, the city of Nampa will celebrate by hosting its first ever Canyon County Pride Festival. The event, announced over the weekend, is intended to create a, quote, more welcoming and inclusive space for 2C's LGBTQ plus community. That's according to the organizers. However, welcoming and inclusive is not the feeling one might get by perusing the 2,000 plus comments under the story we did on this on our Facebook page. But those comments, I would avoid looking at them. The backlash the city has received after this announcement on Sunday, well, that did lead to a press release by the city. They felt the need to clarify the use of Lakeview Park on June 9th for the Pride event. And basically what they wrote was, who uses the park is not determined by the city council, but by the Parks and Rec Department. Canyon County Pride followed all the steps, checked all the boxes, so they get to use the park. However, it's not because, as the city put it, it is an endorsement of their message or views by the city of Nampa, end quote. And that's not all they wrote in this press release. Nampa Mayor Debbie Kling felt the need to offer her 2 cents, saying, while this event does not reflect the personal beliefs and convictions of myself, the Nampa City Council and many living in Nampa who have already reached out to us requesting it be canceled, well, the advice of our legal counsel was that the city of Nampa must recognize the protected First Amendment rights of those scheduling and involved in this event. So basically, the Constitution is preventing us from canceling it. But the Canyon County Pride Festival, that is going to go on as planned on June 9th in Nampa's Lakeview Park, as you just heard, because of the Constitution. The welcoming and inclusive part, though, that they were hoping for, that part is not guaranteed. Well, because of a national agenda and far-right outrage, dozens of questionable books have been removed from library shelves in Idaho over the last couple of years. More than 20 in Nampa schools, 10 in West Ada schools, to just name a couple of high-profile instances. And this was before Idaho lawmakers decided to put a possible fine on libraries, where if a child checks out such material or it's not removed, they and their parents could sue the library for $250 plus damages. This happens in both public and school libraries. So to avoid any such hassle, a lot of libraries have just removed a lot of books. One recent high school graduate had enough of not having a say as a student about what books would be available to her in her library, which is why she decided to make a statement, but one that would have likely remained just among the small gathering for the Idaho Fine Arts Academy graduation were it not for social media. The graduation ceremony for the Idaho Fine Arts Academy, class of 2024, was a lot like the dozens of others taking place these last couple of weeks.
So with that, will the graduating class of 2024 please stand?
A lot of the same pomp, just smaller circumstances.
Emma.
Only 44 seniors would walk across the stage to get their diploma. But one of those 44,
Annabelle Grace Jenkins,
had something up her sleeve.
In middle school, particularly here, I spent a lot of time in the teen space back there.
Annabelle Jenkins has always been into books.
The rule was I could only check out as many books as my age.
Which is why we met her at her local library, where she says she spent more time volunteering than anyone who wasn't retired.
So this place means a lot to me, and libraries in general. I realized these are the types of spaces that I want to spend my life protecting and curating.
It was a crusade Annabelle picked up in earnest last fall when she says she heard a teacher arguing with the school librarian.
And it was over the graphic novel Handmaid's Tale. And I was just so shocked with that because I had never seen staff behave that way in a school setting.
Annabelle says she was also shocked because the book was so important to her and her classmates.
It is a book with a lot of very heavy themes, and it has some very difficult scenes to get through. It deals with a lot of sexual themes. I believe a word that I heard tossed around about that book was pornographic, which I very strongly disagree with. My main issue with this particular situation was that the teacher that was contesting it had not read the book.
You've read this book?
I have read this book.
When did you read it?
I read The Handmaid's Tale probably 7th or 8th grade.
What about the graphic novel? Have you read that one?
I read it, I think, my sophomore year of high school. I think the graphic novel is a very tasteful way of adapting it. And that's not to say that there aren't scenes in there that may be difficult for some students or some readers. I don't think that's a reason for it to be banned.
Removed is the word the West Ada School District would use, and that is what they did with 10 books last December, including The Handmaid's Tale graphic novel. They were pulled from all school library shelves after a private meeting of administrators. In an email today, the district says their decision from last December would align with the recent library law passed by the Idaho legislature. But what Annabelle did at last week's graduation, she says she decided because of how she and her fellow students were not allowed to be part of the removal process.
How we had been treated and ignored, I just realized that I did not want to walk across that stage and get my diploma and shake the superintendent's hand. I just did not want to do that.
So instead, she did this.
When I got up there and I got the book out, I kind of showed it to the audience really quick. He crossed his arms like this, and he wouldn't take it.
Annabelle dropped the book at Superintendent Derek Bubb's feet, which she believes added more fuel to the fire.
It was a gesture, and you're going to receive the gesture. If you want to make a bigger show out of it, be my guest.
How big of a show? Well, that night, Annabelle posted her gesture on TikTok, thinking it would only be seen and shared by her friends and family.
And I wake up in the morning to my dad shaking me, and he says, "Your TikTok has 1 million views." And I went, "Oh, what do you mean it has 1 million views?"
And what she means
It has blown up.
is that 12-second video has been seen and liked by many millions of people. Don't take this the wrong way, but you don't seem like somebody who's going to be a rabble-rouser, somebody who's going to stir the pot. You seem like somebody who would not want to do that.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm not a particularly outgoing person. I don't like public speaking. I don't like standing up and reading the passage aloud in class. I don't like to be the center of attention or do things just to like get a reaction. So when I do things, I want it to be very purposeful. I want people to know that this is something deeply, deeply important to me.
And those 12 seconds are all anyone can see today, because the video of the graduation has been removed by the West Ada School District, who claim Annabelle's gesture, quote, overshadowed the celebratory occasion for the class of 2024. Annabelle doesn't see it that way.
And my goal was never to be disruptive or mess up the ceremony, and I really don't believe that I did. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that that was my time on stage, and that was my moment, and that was something that was important to me to do.
What do you hope then happens with that? I mean, that's getting some attention.
I hope it gets people talking. I hope that it makes it to where this is an issue that we can no longer ignore, because if we do, it's just going to silently move along until it's at a worse place than we ever imagined.
We did reach out to see about asking Dr. Bubb about what happened last week. We were told he was not available today. We were also told the video of that graduation will be available by the end of this week at the latest. Not sure if it will be an edited version, though. Okay, so what happened to the book? Annabelle told us she has no idea. But if you happen to stumble upon a Handmaid's Tale graphic novel in a used bookstore, you open it up, you might find it, because she told us she wrote an inscription on the inside cover, hoping Dr. Bubb enjoys the book, and she also wrote a quote from a New York Times bestselling young adult author, Ellen Hopkins. In that book, she wrote, "Torch every book, burn every page, char every word to ash. Ideas are combustible, and therein lies your real fear." Hey, remember our friends from the Eagle High School Percussion Ensemble? The ones that won the World Guard International Competition in Ohio? Yeah, these guys. This was back in April, right? When they played they played Christmas music and ended up winning the whole thing, an international award. Well, today, Governor Brad Little declared May 28th, 2024 as Eagle High School Percussion Day. Eagle High band posted these pictures. You see them signing the declaration. It was on their Instagram account. Said Governor Little wanted to celebrate all those amazing students and their awesome accomplishments. So congratulations to them again on that world title. And of course, getting your whole day to yourselves. Closing arguments are expected to start tomorrow in Chad Daybell's triple murder trial after the state finished their rebuttal today. Abby Davis has those details and more in today's 411.
Today, the state finished its rebuttal in Chad Daybell's murder trial. The Eastern Idaho man is accused of killing his wife of nearly 30 years, Tammy, and two of his current wife's kids, JJ and Tylee. The defense pushed back on Rexburg Police Detective David Stubbs' testimony about search history linked to a chad.daybell Gmail account. He said the person using that account looked up how to turn their location off and submitted a request to have their GPS history deleted in summer 2019.
And if you're having an affair with someone, close in time when maybe that person may be moving from Arizona to Idaho, you may want to delete your history to cover your tracks, right?
Possibly.
Closing arguments start tomorrow. And starting today, Warm Springs Avenue will be closed between Starcrest Drive and Parsnip Peak Drive. The closure is for road work at the intersection of Starview Drive in preparation for new development. Drivers should use Park Center Boulevard as a detour. The road is expected to reopen by mid-August before the start of the school year. Speaking of driving, we told you about it last week, so here's an update. Gas prices. But it's good news. They are down a whole nickel in Boise. According to Gas Buddy, the average is $3.76 for a gallon. That's about 18 cents lower than last month and 7 cents lower than a year ago. The average across Idaho is $3.73, which is 9 cents less than the national average. It's hot out there, and starting today, you can finally cool off in Boise splash pads. You can find them at Ann Morrison Park, Bora Park, Coomba Park, and Molinar Park. The misters at Bowler Park and Franklin Park are also on. And finally, the Grove Plaza's interactive splash fountain in downtown Boise is open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. through Labor Day. Out in Nampa, the city's splash pads are also open at Ora Brandt Park and the brand new splash pad at Midway Park, which just opened last week. Both are open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. during the summer. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
Well, to begin with, we have a lot of lightning strikes around the area, and we'll show you this. And keep in mind, whenever we talk about lightning, we're talking about dangers. So watch for the lightning for tonight. Keep up with the forecast on this because it can be very dangerous with lightning, and it's good to get inside if you happen to see anything around your area. Out here, there's an advisory for winds, which is in the upper Snake River Valley, winds that could gust to 50, 55 miles an hour. And then this is a severe thunderstorm warning that's just over here in Harney County, just east of Burns. Looks like that's going to be moving north toward Baker City. Could eventually end up in some sections of Idaho. Let's get a closer look with our latest high, well, we'll get to that here in just a second, but the high temperature today in Boise was near 90 degrees, as it was in many spots, and 84 degrees for the high temperature in Twin Falls. Now, this is where I was going. Taking a look at the latest satellite and radar, you can see there's rain. There's also hail involved with some of these storms, strong gusty winds. Now, just south of Boise, we're seeing something develop a little bit closer that we could be hearing pretty soon. And you'll see it here just to the south, which will move up to the northeast. That could possibly clip Boise with some thunderstorms within the next half hour to 45 minutes. As we look out here, which we've been watching for the afternoon, here in the southeast corner, there are more that could be coming up more toward Caldwell and Nampa, and that's coming up from the southwest there. So watch for some of those thunderstorms for this evening. All seem to be developing within the next half an hour to an hour, and of course, we'll keep you informed on what's happening with these storms. As you see down here toward Mountain Home, they've been getting thunderstorms for most of the afternoon, starting about 2 and 3 o'clock. Same thing for Twin Falls. They've been getting some rain showers throughout the area, so that's what's happening right now. Now, this is going to be gone by very early tomorrow morning. There could still be some thunderstorms even after sunset with some of these storms for this evening, and then through early tomorrow morning. But most of the day tomorrow will be partly cloudy with gusty winds. Temperatures will be up to about 70 degrees, winds that could be 30, 35 miles an hour. After that, we get into some pretty nice weather here, even into the weekend where temperatures are into the 80s. Monday, we'll have to watch this again for a chance of some thunderstorms as those temperatures are heating up, and we're going to be getting near 80 degrees for another time.
All right, a lot of comments today. Let's get to these from the North Idaho jury awarding $1.1 million. Lori's thrilled that they got that to the drag entertainer who was defamed by a narrow-minded person. The jury affirmed that truth does still matter. I'm willing to bet the people who post that edited video are the same people that yell out fake news every once in a while, too. Does the North Idaho blogger who falsely accused the drag performer of indecent exposure claim to be a Christian? Does the commandment against bearing false witness not apply to her, asked Paul. When is heterosexual Pride Month? I don't know. Every other month, 11 of the year, probably. Very brave and courageous young woman. We all need to fight back for our intellectual freedoms. I just bought one of those graphic novels for all of my nieces, says Mike in Boise. There you go. All right. Well, leave it to a white, affluent American to protest during their commencement ceremony. Too many bored people in this city. Living in the U.S., we are more privileged than 90% of the world. Show some gratitude and quit whining, says Emily in Boise. Well, I guess everybody's got to have a cause. Not everything can be solving world hunger tomorrow. It's the personal ones, though, that matter, right? That's the one that you really jump into and that means something to you. So that's what that's all about. You go, Annabelle. We need more young people like you to take over when all those old coots are finally gone, says Julie. If our future is in the hands of young people like Annabelle and not those protesting the Pride celebration in Nampa, well, we're going to be just fine, says Rod in Boise. Well said, Rod. We'll see what we can tackle tomorrow. See if we can spur some more of your comments then. We'll see you then.